Is NASCAR 25 the game that NASCAR fans have been waiting for? What's up, everyone? I'm Dalton Hopkins with Frontstretch.com, and I'm here today to answer that very question. Let's talk about it. This is so we don't typically do gaming videos. Actually, I don't think we've ever done a gaming video before, so you'll have to excuse the guerrilla style commentary here. This is just some gameplay footage that I captured while I was in my own personal career mode. I'm actually now in the truck series now. I'm actually in the truck series now in my own personal gameplay, but this is about halfway through my first ARCA season, and you'll kind of see some overview there of how that's going. But yeah, this is we don't typically do this kind of stuff. But that's because we're not really a gaming channel, but we kind of have to. A lot of us agreed that we kind of have to sit here and say that NASCAR 25 is a story. It is a story in every essence of the word for modern day NASCAR and what's going on in the NASCAR world. So we got to talk about it. And I think maybe a fair question to ask is it the one that is finally going to stick around, right? Is this going to be like the franchise that is finally going to be rewarding for NASCAR fans? Is this the one that we've been waiting for? Because a lot of us have been kind of we've been struggling, right? We've been struggling for the last 10 years or so, ever since the departure of maybe the EA games. So look, I personally like I've been playing NASCAR games my entire life. Literally my entire life. My very first NASCAR game was NASCAR 99 on the Nintendo 64. So all of y'all talking about the Technics games and NASCAR 15 being the best one ever made, nah. I personally disagree. I think the NASCAR Thunder games, the EA games, were the best ones. NASCAR Thunder 2004 is perhaps my favorite video game maybe ever, like of all of them. So my point being is I have credentials, right? I've got a lot of experience playing these video games, a lot of hours of my life putting into it. So that's kind of why I'm gonna be the one that's talking to you guys about this. Is this kind of like giving you a fair assessment of if this game is worth your time or if maybe this is going to be another franchise dud? Um, and look, so first and foremost, right? iRacing. When it was first announced that iRacing was going to be making the new brand of NASCAR video games, I think a lot of us were very excited because of the physics model. A lot of us were kind of worried about how the physics model was going to be because just the last few NASCAR games have not been nailing it. The NASCAR Heat games, I feel like the NASCAR Heat games were kind of misunderstood. I feel like that I actually like the Heat games, but unfortunately, my agreement with everyone else on the physics model in that it kind of felt like you were driving a brick on rails. Um, so does that happen in this game? Is that the same more of the same NASCAR 25? Well, as you can maybe tell through this gameplay already, it is absolutely not the case. iRacing, of course, nailed it as everyone expected it to. The car feels like you're driving an actual race car. I mean, look, I'm not. I've never. I have driven a stock car, but I've never raced one. So I guess I'm not really one to fairly judge that. But I will say that I race on a wheel and a rig on my PlayStation 5. I'm not a serious hardcore sim racer, but I've played them all, right? I played all the NASCAR games, and I will say that this one probably feels the best to drive. I think maybe the only one that could maybe rival it is like NASCAR 15 or NASCAR 14, but I don't know. This one kind of feels better. Like it's odd. Maybe it's because I'm just playing on a wheel. I got to imagine that playing on a controller is probably very awkward, but point being is that you'll notice right here that I'm actually, well, I guess not right now, but I'm running the high line a lot in this practice session that I was doing. And notice that I'm running the high line. I rarely ever ran the high line around anywhere in any NASCAR video game because I've always run the low line. The low line was always the way to go. I was always the fastest, and that's just how I've always learned. I've always learned to just hit the apex. But in this game, not only can you run the high line, but it feels good to do it. Like it feels like you get that burst of speed when you're on the high line and you're trying to pass somebody that's on the low side. So um, people like people like me who get to be want the game to be very technical, want it to be very immersive, wants it to feel like I am a race car driver and a professional one. Although professional ones probably don't hit the wall like I just did, but want to be a professional race car driver and wants it to feel like that. This game captures that. It absolutely does. It is a really solid driving handling, driving physics, whatever you want to call it. It feels great, and that's the most important part, right? That because that is the core value of any racing game. That is the meat, right? That is the meat in your racing video game sandwich. You want it to feel good. You want it to feel good to drive a race car around, or maybe you want it to be challenging, and it is challenging at times, but as you can see, like I am switching lanes. I'm trying to search for what lane works best, and it's not always the high line. Like sometimes I do have to run the low line, and in some parts at some tracks, and you'll see this later on in this gameplay footage. I'll actually run the low lane in 1 and 2 and run the high lane in 3 and 4. It's not really something that I did that you could really do in previous installments. So it feels good. It just feels good in your hands. It feels good to drive, and you feel like that you are a race car driver. You feel like that you can get technical with it. You can change lanes, and when you do that and it works, it's very rewarding. It makes you feel like that you are immersed. And that's the other thing is that setups, right? The game I don't typically ever like work with setups. Like I said earlier, I'm not like a hardcore sim racing pro, iRacing specialist. I'm not, right? I've rarely ever worked on setups. I've always just kind of I really could not be bothered with practice modes. But in this game, you kind of have to, and it works. I found that I really like my cars loose because loose is fast, right? And you'll notice I reached that goal time uh, that the career mode lets you do. It's kind of like that carrot at the end of the stick that the game gives you in practice mode to kind of give you like something to make you feel like that you accomplished, and you can you get some extra rep points for that in the career mode, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. So moving on from that, the car feels good. But what about the guys you're racing against, the AI, right? Got to talk about the AI. So does the AI feel realistic? Does it feel like that you are racing against actual people? 95% of the time, yes, it does. It does feel pretty good to race around somebody who is using different lanes in different corners, and they will try to maybe block you at times if you have a run off the top lane, which has happened to me quite often. There has been some moments where it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. I think I was doing a race at Talladega, and there was a pack of cars that hadn't pitted yet, and I was in my own pack of cars that had pitted, and the front pack that hadn't pitted like ran out of gas all at the same time on like the backstretch, or I think it was in turns 3 and 4 or something, and we just blew right by them. They weren't like pitting; they just ran out of gas. So, yeah, like it's stuff like that, little minor things, but I've never seen that happen again. Um, and sometimes the AI makes mistakes, and not like it breaks the game, like in a way where like the AI feels like it's an actual person and it's making a mistake. Like I've had one turn me a couple times while I'm holding. It's not like it's not like I turn down on them or I clip them or anything. Like they will just they'll blow a corner and they'll hit me. I've had one turn me while trying to bump draft me at Daytona. It does happen, and that's frustrating. But it's supposed to be frustrating. It's frustrating in a good way because it's like you don't expect uh, AI to be perfect. You don't expect other race car drivers to be perfect, right? I'm certainly not perfect, so why should everyone else around me be perfect? Um, and it's not predictable. Uh, you can adjust to you can adjust like how often the AI makes mistakes, which I've done. I've kind of like kept it in the middle, but I don't really see them spinning out very often. I've seen it a couple times, and when they do like spin in front of you, it is silly. Like I have seen some silly spins. There was one at like Bristol, I think, and it was Corey Day, and he just spun while driving straight. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. So, um, yeah, it can be comical at times, but they will wreck in front of you too, and you're gonna have to use your wreck avoidance skills um, on that. So, yeah, other positives. We're doing the positive versus negative thing here, and I'll get to the negatives here in a minute. But other positives. Let's talk about the career mode. And this is kind of where I'll segue the positives into the negatives. Is the career mode. Um, so career, that's what I'm playing right here. Right, this is the my first season in Arca, and I will say that there is a lot of depth. There is a lot of attention to detail. You can tell that this game was made. The career mode especially was made with love and care. A lot of research, a lot of firsthand accounts. I'm sure went into it, and it shows, right? I do like the idea, the rags to riches idea of starting from like your your dad's garage, basically. I think the way they termed it was like it's like a gas station. It's a like a your dad you're starting in your dad's shop or whatever. He just gave you like a toolbox and he said go nuts. Um, that does kind of feel like that. There is like a little moment right before the beginning of the career mode where it's almost like that moment in NASCAR 2005 we have to race Ryan Newman in like the streets of New York, and I think it was Dodge Vipers. Um, it's not like as cool as that, but it is kind of cinematic like that in a way. And I don't want to spoil it in case you do get it, but it is kind of neat. It's like a little prove yourself kind of race that you do before you go into the Arkham and Art series. And yeah, so that's like that kind of detail. Um, and it's not like too far fetched, right? It's not like again, it's not street racing against Ryan Newman. It's kind of like a not so far fetched thing that could potentially happen. Um, but the detail, right? You gotta hire people. You gotta make budget decisions. You gotta buy parts for your car. You gotta upgrade your car. You have to sign sponsors. You gotta do stuff with your free time. Like, do you want to? I think there's been quite a few moments that there's been a few moments where it's like, do you want to go talk to this reporter, this local reporter that wants to do a story on you? Do you want to go talk to like kids at a local um, tech college or something and like kind of inspire them to go do mechanical engineering stuff? Um, little things, right? It's just the little things that you do with like your free time, and you get some bonuses. Like you might get some cash bonuses, you might get some bonus to your reputation. Streaming, that's one of the ones. So um, minor stuff like that. And then, like I said, I'll reach the truck series already, and it's you start to see a progression once you start moving up through the different series. Like you get a bigger shop, you get more trucks, you got more personnel, things like that. So yeah, and I think that's probably where I'm gonna start leaning into the negatives of it. I hate to leave the negatives at the end, but I promise you, all this will end on a good note. The negative side of things, career mode. I'll start with this. This is probably maybe my second biggest gripe with the game. We'll get with my bigger one later on, but um, there is no like journeyman style of career. You have to own a race team. At least I have not seen one. I don't think there is a way. I'm pretty sure that there isn't a way to do that. And what I mean by that is you can't. It's not like you can go sign a contract and go run for Venturini Motorsports in the Arkham and Art series. It's not like you can uh, get like a one-off race with Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series, and if they like you, maybe they give you a contract for the next season to run full time, right? There's nothing like that in this game. You have to do your own team. You're running your own team. You manage your own team, and if when you make enough money, if you earn enough reputation, you can move up into the Truck Series, and so on and so forth. I have, and this is just a personal thing, right? I do like the grind. and I'm still having fun with career mode. I'm still progressing in it. It's definitely the main aspect of the game, the main mode of the game. But um, I have never been one for the team owner side of it, just because it's such a rare thing that doesn't occur very often in NASCAR. It's at least not one that goes from like all the way down to the ARCA series all the way up to the Cup Series. I mean, when has there ever been a team that started at the bottom in the Arkham and Art Series and worked its way up to the Cup Series to running full time in the Cup Series? I don't. I maybe there is a couple out there, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Um, it's so that takes that little bit of immersion, and you'll notice that I am using the word immersion a lot, but that matters to me, right? That matters to me, especially when I'm playing career mode, because I want to feel like a race car driver. I want to feel like I'm progressing through my NASCAR career as a race car driver, and it's just not really realistic. Like, what's more realistic if I was a race car driver and I was again like a journeyman, right? I was getting like hot seats as the NASCAR Heat Games did it. Um, is getting hot seats, and like if I performed well enough, maybe that team likes me enough to where they want me on full time. Like NASCAR 2007, I think the old, yeah, like 2005 to 2007, I think did that. Maybe 2008, I can't really remember to be honest with you, but the old EA games used to do that. The Heat games kind of did that, but I think the EA games did it the best, where it would be like, hey, like you're full time in what was the Bush series, but hey, like Chip Ganassi and Juan Pablo Montoya sprained his ankle. Like you got to go run the 42 car at Talladega. This is a real thing that I remember doing, and you got to go run the 42 car at Talladega. He'd like you to give you an opportunity. And at the end of the year, I did so well. I did like one or two races with him, and at the end of the year, they offered me a contract. Like that, it's just that stuff, right? Like where you get noticed by a race team. And wouldn't that be cool if like you were racing for Venturini and it's the Toyota pipeline, right? So if you're racing for Venturini Motorsports and then you get picked up by like Tricon and then maybe you get hired by Sam Hunt or maybe even Gibbs in the Xfinity Series the year after. And then maybe Junior Motorsports likes you enough and they just kind of they want to steal you from the Toyota pipeline, right? That's kind of fun. There's that excitement of getting awarded a contract with a big race team, and it's like, ooh, wow, like I've worked so hard to get this. I've worked so hard to earn this ride. That's not in the career mode, and that is unfortunate. That does kind of take me out of it. Now look, I'm not saying they can't do that in future installments, and all of the negative things that I'm gonna say it's probably stuff that's going to be added in future installments, right? Because again, this is the first installment of iRacing's game, and spoiler alert, but at the end I'm going to say that they nailed it, and that's because they did. But just gripes, small gripes that I've got. That alone, I wish there was a mode that you could do something like that, like that journeyman mode. That's a little bit more realistic. Um, Again, still having fun with career mode, and it's still very fun. But I wish that was something that was in the game. And that kind of leads me into the next thing. Is that and this I feel bad saying this because this really isn't fair because it's the first installment, but it does feel a little bare bones. It doesn't feel like there's a whole lot here. There's four modes. There's race now, which is again exactly what it sounds like. You just go do one race in any series and at any track, with any driver. You go do multiplayer. You can do championship, which is just a season long format, and there's career. Um, and that's it. And if you're not like playing online with buddies, which I rarely do because I just don't really play online very often, especially with racing games. I career mode is pretty much where you're going to put all of your time and effort into. Um, and I wish there was something else. Like I wish there was like a license challenge, like the old NASCAR Thunder games had. I think the Heat games had those too. There's no test session, at least not that I can't seem to see one. There's no like test session mode where you can just take a car and like go to a track and just you know do laps and work on a setup if you want to. And normally I wouldn't care. I probably couldn't be bothered to do anything like that, but um, I there's nothing like. Oh, and I just want to point this out right here. This is really cool what they did. If you changing your pit strategy, if you want to change it, it pauses the game. And I super appreciate that because not a whole lot of racing games do that. A lot of racing games, it's just like you just do it while you're driving, and it's so awkward. It's so weird and awkward. I hate doing it. So I really appreciate them doing that for this one. I don't know, maybe that's a thing in other racing games, but in this one, I've never seen it before. So this one, that's really neat. Um, so yeah, back to what I was talking about. Um, the there isn't there's no test session mode, and normally I couldn't be bothered with that. But there's like if you're a racer, like or if you're like a sim racer and you have like online leagues, like I used to compete in the old games. Like if you have like online leagues with a bunch of friends, and you want to work on like a test or you want to work on like a setup, um, you kind of I think you have to like go into like practice session, I guess, to do that. So I don't really. That's kind of a bummer. And I feel like that would be so easy to do too. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. But again, this is the first installment, right? And I like when you look at all the other like all the a lot of the other installments, like I keep mentioning the EA games, but I guarantee you the first EA NASCAR game, which I think was NASCAR '98, um, I'm guarantee you that looked pretty bare bones too, right? So take that with a grain of salt. It's just it's like saying, "Oh, I just wish there was more." Like, yeah, okay, we all wish there was more in like every video game ever, right? Um, so it's just take it with a grain of salt. There's still plenty here to keep you occupied. Um, so yeah, now we'll go into I'll go into um, one of I guess probably what is my biggest gripe, and that is track selection. No Mexico, no Bowman Gray, no Portland, and the Arca standalone tracks are gone. They're not in the game either. So like no Salem, no Toledo, DuQuoin, not in there. Look, all of that pretty forgivable. And I understand why. I know there's like a thing with iRacing; they just don't have those tracks available. They don't have them. I think for some of them they don't have them scanned. Some of them they do have scanned, I think, but they just couldn't add it into the game in time. They just like recently scanned them, so I don't know. Maybe they'll add them as DLC later on, which would be pretty great. Or maybe they'll add them as a free update. Pretty please. That'd be great. But look, forgivable. Okay. Like I can understand why there's no Mexico. Bowman Gray is a huge bummer because I was really looking forward to racing Bowman Gray. But hey, like North Wilkesboro's in the game, Rockingham's in the game, Lime Rock is in the game, which was pretty. That one I thought it wouldn't make it, but yeah, it's there. So yeah, like it's just little stuff like that. I guess it's not really a huge deal, but what is I feel like a huge deal. When I noticed that the Arkham Menard series was not getting its standalone tracks, my first thought was, okay, well, what is the season going to look like in the game? Like, if you want to run an Arca season, what is that going to look like? Well, um, so what they did is instead of like Salem or Toledo or Berlin or DuQuoin. Instead, they've added the actual other short tracks that like the Cup Series goes on. So there's a Martinsville race, there's a Richmond race, there's a second Bristol race, and there's a North Wilkesboro race. All of that is fine, um, because all of that is fine, right? I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, then that's what you're gonna do. Um, but my first reaction to that was, oh, okay, then that means that there's crossovers with the series into other tracks. There is not. It's only for Arca. You can't run if you wanted to run like Cup at say like Rockingham or something. Can't do that. If you wanted to run Cup at Lime Rock, can't do that. If you want to do Xfinity at um, Lime Rock, can't do that. If you want to run Xfinity at um, North Wilkesboro, can't do that. Um, so I don't all the other gripes that I had, it's just it's forgivable, right? It's passable. It's not a huge deal. But I feel it's passable. It's like they're all forgivable because it's like again, it's the first installment of the game. It's not really stuff that they probably just didn't have enough time, they didn't have enough resources, whatever. This one I feel like is kind of a head scratcher for me because if they're doing it for Arca, why can't you do it with Cup and Xfinity, in trucks? Like why can't you race cross tracks like on different series? Why can't you race certain tracks in different series? So I don't know what's going on there. I'm sure there is a legitimate explanation, but that is just kind of a bummer for me. Because I wish that was something that was a feature in the game. And maybe again, maybe that'll be something that we can do in the future as well. And finally, like last gripe. It's not really a gripe. It's more like a wish list thing. But in the future, can we get fantasy tracks back, please? Like, I miss Devil's Canyon. I miss Tiburon. I miss Daytona Beach, like the beach course. I miss those wacky, zany tracks that the EA games had. Um, and we haven't had those since the EA games. I think NASCAR '09 didn't even have one. It had like that one weird Chicago street course, but that was about it. Now we have an actual Chicago street course. So, um, yeah, like I wish that iRacing just goes crazy with it. That's probably going to be years down the line if they ever actually do it. But I digress. That's just something on the wish list. So overall, I'm running out of time here, but overall, is this game worth your time? Yes, of course it is. It's not really fair for me to say give it like a number ranking just because I don't really give number rankings. I've never done a video game review before, so it's not really comparable to anything else. But I will compare it to other NASCAR games, and I will say this is probably the best. It's better than I feel like the Utechnics games. It's better than the Heat games, and I feel like it's maybe knocking on the door of the EA games. I feel like the EA games are still better, but it's maybe second place. It's really close. And for a first installment, it's not bad. It's really really good. So I can only hope, I can only expect that it's going to get better and better and better from here. So for a first installment of a NASCAR franchise, really well done. Absolutely worth your time. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Dalton Hopkins with Frontstretch, and stay tuned for more coverage.
Hi, everybody. Tom Bowles from Frontstretch. Good journalism isn't free. It takes time, resources, and dedication. We at Frontstretch are proud of all the motorsport stories that we do and want to be able to keep offering them to everyone without going to a subscription model. That's where we need help from those who have not only the passion for motorsports, but also the means to potentially help out an independent journalism outlet. If 400 people stopped right now and gave us $10, we'd be able to fund all our travel to all the racetracks that we cover for a month and bring you all these great videos that you see here every week. So if you love us, our reporters, our content, please consider a donation at frontstretch.com/donate. We're thankful for everyone's support, and we take seriously the privilege of bringing quality, unbiased motorsports coverage to all of you sitting there at home.